Hello everyone, it's me Alyan Fiverrwala and my today guest name is Miss Carley. Miss Carley is founder of Bespoke Wellness and interior design expert with the passion of mindfulness and sustainability. She transforms ordinary space into screen heavens for optimal health. In this interview, Miss Carley reveals her secret to creating wellness sanctuary that nurtures both body and soul. So, hello, Miss, how are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
Great, thank you so much for asking. So, before moving on the question, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Carley Montgomery. I'm from California, and my background is construction, and my current profession is working with people in their homes to create wellness sanctuaries.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. So, my first question in your screen, can you tell us a bit about your background and what inspired you to start guiding people toward wellness sanctuaries?
Yeah, my background's in construction. I started as a contractor, first working in the field as a carpenter and a labor equipment operator, and then eventually having my own construction company in Los Angeles. And from there, I started doing single family residential development, which led me to doing my own design work. I did this for years and I really loved it. I eventually loved helping people. At first, I was not really excited about the emotional part of working with people in their home. That's why I preferred to design work. Then in 2015, I decided to pack it up and go down to Costa Rica after my mom passed away and started really getting into wellness. And I thought I was into wellness before, but not to the extent that I learned what was really going on and started researching and studying. And I was committed to opening wellness sanctuaries in Costa Rica and in Guatemala where I was living. The issue was is that people weren't able to leave their life to come to heal. So upon the after a few years of living down there, I decided that it would be best to come back to the United States part-time to be closer to my family and to help people where they're at. Get into their house and see where I can use my intuitive nature and all the skills and all the stuff that I know to help people where they're most stuck. And since I've been back since about March of last year, and just starting back in business and building my network again. I've just relocated back to Los Angeles, and I spent some time in Austin, Texas, checking that place out. But now I'm here.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for this wonderful answer. So, how do you approach the process of creating a wellness sanctuary tailored to an individual needs?
Well, I have my own personal, uh, how do you say, guidelines of what a wellness sanctuary is. For one, it's to feel calm and tranquil in your home. The biggest obstacles that I see people have is clutter. How someone's house is really reflects how their state of mind is. So I've actually learned to be more of a wellness and health coach now, life coach, to work with people not just from an intuitive level, but from a functional level. Um, the big, the big ones, the really big ones, are getting rid of the toxins in the home, getting the home decluttered and organized, and with that comes how to teach people to live in this new environment, how not to go buy chemicals and chemical cleaning products, pesticides, fertilizers, chemical body products, chemical laden foods. So I actually work with the client after the initial cleanup and decluttering to help integrate their lifestyle into this new environment.
All right. So, what are the key element or component that you consider when creating a personalized wellness center?
Well, it starts with the person first. So the biggest thing is that in all of my design projects, whether it's going to be for wellness or just a general design, which I still do, and which is still paying the bills actually, is you got to start with them and their lifestyle and what they need. I oftentimes see designers on a general level will um, try to force their own aesthetic and their own values into the client's space, which is not what our job is. Our job is to find out how they live in their space and then to make the space work for them. So I think that's the most important thing. And then the elements, like I said, are decluttering and organizing, um, getting rid of the chemicals in the home. And then I bring in other things like, chemicals and like EMF radiation uh, and in the air and in the water. So my elements are water filters, air filters, EMF devices, EMF protection devices, but like for an example, with EMF, it's not only putting something in that's going to protect you from the EMS fields, it's also going to be creating strategies or um, changing your lifestyle a bit or how you interact with your space. For example, having some rooms that are digital free so that you don't have the waves in there. Turning off your router at night so you're not getting all the EMF while you're sleeping. Other things that I recommend for all my clients are bio bed or anti-aging beds, which are grounding mats. So when you're sleeping, you're grounded to the earth. Um, Water filter, air filter, EMF protection, uh, toxin-free materials like rubber mattresses instead of these, highly toxic standard mattresses that we get. And then adding things like plants, crystals, high vibrational elements to the house, all integrated with the normal stuff like art and decor and beautiful furniture.
All right. So, can you share some success story of individual who have expired significant improvement in their health through your kindness?
Absolutely. Some of my favorite ones that recently have been one of my first clients that I got when I came back to the United States, and I didn't get them through this wellness. The wellness practice to design, actually, I started back in the States in March, but I didn't really start integrating the wellness stuff until the last couple months in a big way and really promoting myself as a wellness coach and taking wellness coaching courses and such. But I was called to go in and make her house look like this one designer, Justina Blakely. We call it the Jungalow, and that she had a lot of beautiful furniture, beautiful decor items. It's just her house was not styled, and it wasn't. It was just cluttered. Like she's a single mom, works really like has a crazy executive, high-powered job, and is just frustrated with her home and could never get it right. And she thought what she needed was to spend a bunch of money on it. What we ended up doing was just organizing, decluttering. But what the beautiful thing that happened is a few weeks later, we got to be friends and we'd hang out and stuff. And she told me that she got off her meds. And that was a big one because I knew when I met her that she started them during COVID. She was really stressed out, that she didn't want to be on them. She didn't like what they were doing to her, but she just knew that that was the best thing to be doing versus the alternative, which is where she was not functioning well. And so she got her meds. Another one is really close to me. My brother, it was really awesome because I started talking about health and wellness in my posts and stuff like that. And he's like, "That's what you do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Josh." I'm like, I help declutter. He's like, "Man, I need that so bad." And I was like, "Well, I would love to help you." And so I did. And what turned in, I scheduled myself for a day. I didn't realize how bad my brother's place is because he's never invited any of us over. It took me 5 days to get the house his apartment sorted and cleaned. But the transformation I've seen in my brother has been amazing. I love him so much, and he has also come down with some. He's been diagnosed with some pretty heavy stuff, and it's all diet and lifestyle related. And now he has done things like big steps. He's been addicted to Diet Coke for his entire life, and he's just stopped Diet Coke, which is a huge one to get his life on track. He's eating healthier. And it was a lot to do with like how I equipped his kitchen and saw how he was living, and then was able to bring things in that work with his lifestyle and been teaching him new recipes. And I've been staying with him as much as I can so I can help him learn new ways of being. And that one's been my favorite success story yet.
Wonderful. So, how do you take into account an individual unique preference and lifestyle when designing sanctuary?
Absolutely. So, of course, I am client focused first. So, I first get in there and find out what their hobbies are, what their passions are, how they live, um, who lives with them, who lives in the space, how they use the space, and really get deep with them about what they're missing, what they want more out of their space, what would make their lifestyle better or what their life better living in that space. And from there I design the space, and it's a very intuitive practice. um, yeah, so it's just client first. What is their wants, needs, desires is the most important.
All right. So, what role does mindfulness and threat management play in your approach to wellness?
Well, in my book and in my home wellness guide and the master class that I'm putting together, I've really discussed about creating spaces for mindfulness. Oftentimes we don't really have that. For me, it's a meditation space with your altar. So it's a place where you go to do your spiritual work, whatever that looks like. It could be, Christian, Buddhism, you name it, or just a mindfulness, just your meditation practice, and how to choose that space wisely in your house and to put all the necessary elements, how to create an altar, and really setting aside the space. So often we need to design these spaces so that we have a place to do the real deep work. um, I'm very mindful about everything that goes in the house. I look at the whole house like an altar. I really shy away from any sort of toxins, whether it be chemical or materials, and encourage high vibrational textiles like linen and organic cotton, wool, get rid of all the polyester and the plastics. I don't have any plastics in my visual space. I mean, mind you, there might be some in the cupboards, never single use plastic, that kind of stuff.
All right. So, are there specific design principles or techniques that you recommended for creating calming and healing environments?
Much of um, my design style comes from natural building and permaculture, but also biophilic design. And biophilic design is recognizes the human physical and mental well-being relies on the quality of our relationships with the natural world. So I make sure that all of the materials in the house are natural, wood, metal, glass, ceramic, stone, as much as possible, eliminating all sorts of um, synthetic materials, and adding as much plants and natural materials as possible.
All right. So, how do you stay updated on the latest trend and research in wellness and holistic health?
I dedicate a large part of my day every day listening to and updating myself, researching on through different mediums of podcasts, books. Yeah, I'm just a constant sponge. And there's something that's really important to point out right now in the world is that you got to be careful where you get your information from and then verify that information. So often I see that a lot of the information out there is um, not quite truth. There's some, I really look at people that are in the wellness movement and are doing their own studies, like Zach Bush, David Avocado Wolf, um, like Alex Huberman does a podcast, but people that are out there doing their own research is something that I'm really passionate about following.
Hmm. So, can you explain the importance of sustainability and eco-friendliness in wellness and sanctuaries?
Absolutely. I mean, it is paramount, and it's almost like a given that, of course, it needs to be sustainable and eco-friendly. How we do one thing is how we do all things in life, and how our home is, it reflects into our life. So those principles, for me, what it looks like is reduce, reuse, recycle, repurpose. I try to not buy like plastic bags, for example. I repurpose the plastic bags I get when I go shopping. Um, I I oftentimes recycle my own stuff on site, like bottles and stuff like that. I'll cut and make them into my planters for growing in my garden. I'm a huge, huge proponent of everyone composting if they have a yard, and making sure that those are things that I help set up for people is their composting areas, and I also work in their garden to increase the production of food. So often, one of my big things I love to do is edible landscapes. So um, it doesn't have to be just ornamentals in your yard. Why not plant things that are perennial and are giving off food that you can eat? So those are things I really like to incorporate into my designs.
Amazing. So, what advice do you have for someone looking to make their home or workspace a more wellness focused environment?
I would recommend that they download my free guide, and hopefully I can send you the link and you can put it below this interview. But I have taken the time to write out a free wellness guide for people getting started, and it goes step by step of how I do it. I realize that I'm only me. I'm not going to be able to go help everyone all across the world. And the best way to get that information out there is through education. And I think I've done a pretty good job on this guide to simplify it and just go step by step. And the other thing is like you don't have to do everything right away. If you just do little bits at a time, you'll get there.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. So, how do you incorporate technology and smart solution into wellness sanctuaries without compromising their sanity?
I eliminate any smart solutions like smart meters. Anything that's given off a really strong radiation and is unnecessary, these smart meters have been shown to just incredible amounts of EMF radiation. And then technology, there is a lot of technology out there to clean up the EMF radiation and to stop its effects on our body, like grounding mats. Um, let's see what else. I use these EMF protection devices that I keep on me and around me in the house. The one I use, Aries Tech. What else? Oh, for clean water technology, air filters and water filters. So Water filtration technology. I'm a really big proponent of Pure 2O's system here in the United States, and it's a reverse osmosis, realkalizing, remineralizing, ionizing, hydrating um, water filter. I also recommend, if you can't have that, a water distiller and remineralization drops or a water revitalizer. I have links to all this stuff in my link tree that we can also post here if you'd like.
Oh, that's awesome. So, sorry, let's repeat by mistake. Okay, so what challenges do you individual typically face when trying to create a wellness sanctuary, and how do you help them overcome these challenges?
I think the biggest one people are having a problem with is they know they need help, but they're embarrassed to have someone come into their house. I want to help people that are at that level too. Ideally, my ideal client is someone that's already on the path to wellness and has already made steps to improve their life. But for those that are dealing with a bit of like a hoarder scenario, having a hard time letting go of stuff, I can see where it is hard to let someone into their home. So with that, I take my time getting to know the client. We meet multiple times on video chat to talk about the project, to get to know each other, and so that they feel comfortable with me in their space, and they know that I'm not in any way judging them, and I'm just there to help.
All right. So, can you describe some of the most unusual or innovative wellness sanctuary project you have been involved in?
So one of the things that I've been working on lately are eco villages in Costa Rica. Um, and with these to come, I'm really into blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies as well. So we're designing new wellness centers with an eco village attached to them, and it's all run on decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, using their own cryptocurrency. So we're actually creating entire eco villages based around wellness.
All right. So, how do you see the future of wellness design evolving, and what trends should we be aware of?
It's interesting because I feel like we've already done so good, like Ayurveda and Chinese traditional medicines were such advanced practices. So I see us going backwards. I feel like our allopathic medical system is very uh, inept and ignorant and young and naive, and doesn't really work to address any of the problems. So I see that people are waking up to this. And the medicines that I am very passionate about and see having the most profound effects on people are ones that have been around for a long time, yet been squashed by big pharma, which is frequency medicine, like bioresonance based on the Rife technology, ozone therapy, which was really studied and made popular by Tesla. He was one of the first ones to do the ozone generator, if I remember correctly, and stem cells. So I opened a wellness center in Costa Rica 2 years ago, and that was it. It was stem cells and ozone, and those two things right there can battle almost every disease that we're plagued with these days, especially cancers. And also recognizing the role that diet and lifestyle play in our healing. It is so overlooked right now by the modern medical establishment. They don't even want to address it or talk about it or anything. But all of our ailments, I think, go back to diet and lifestyle and detox. detoxing our body is the most important thing for our health, because we are living in an environment that is not natural. We have so many chemicals in this environment that, like, I heard some statistic the other day. I need to go find this guy again and figure out what it was, but it was like tens of thousands of chemicals have been introduced to the environment since 1940, all of which are toxic to the human and the animals. And there's no wonder why we're having major health problems. So,
Okay, that's great. So thank you so much, Miss, for giving me your precious and valuable time for the interview. I hope everybody also learned something new with your talk. Thank you so much.
thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.